storm will be coming to the southern United States over the course of today. In fact, we could see some pretty intense snow bands and some pretty intense ice bands. We'll just have to see how everything plays out. So let's get started with today's video. So moving to about where we are right now. This is roughly where we are right now. We do have some snow showers sliding around along I-40 here in Tennessee, West Tennessee. We do have also a little bit of an ice band. It doesn't show up on here, but there definitely is an ice band with this storm. And then we also just have the cold rain down to the south. Nothing too much happening far to the south, but as we continue moving on, you can see this snow band intensifies along and north of I-40 in Middle Tennessee. And as this snow band intensifies, obviously it's going to dump a lot of snow. It's going to dump a lot of snow into these areas in a very short amount of time. So as it moves off, here's something interesting. It brings quite a bit of snow to the northeast and mid-Atlantic. We'll have to see if it moves up to the northeast or if it does not. It looks like it does not. It just moves off as a low. Here you can see the low moving offshore, following the jet stream here. Although we do, after the fact of this winter storm, it's still pretty cold in these areas, so the snow could potentially remain around until Saturday. But that would be a very rare instance in very scattered pockets where it remains cloudy the whole time. But we also have some pieces of energy down here from the southern jet. This will be brought in from the Pacific and Gulf moistures. So we do have some energy. We'll have to see how this plays out if we do see another winter storm, or if it just remains as some rain showers throughout the region like this shows. And this just shows it remaining as some rain showers. It's a little bit interesting here. We have this high pressure system along this band of rain. Usually high pressure prevents rain from happening, but we do see this associated with the band of showers here now. This was earlier, I believe, and we had this Gulf system, and now this piece from the southern jet here combined with the northern jet is going to bring some snowfall and ice. So we'll just have to see how this pans out. Let's switch to the European model. Let's see the ECMWF. If we look here, so let's take a look at this. This was a little bit earlier. We had some ice and snow across Arkansas, and we see the Euro model draws this rain snow line right here. This would be right along I-40 here. And then close to the border of Kentucky, we do have some snowfall. And as we continue taking a look at this, it does show some impacts here across the mid-Atlantic. So we'll just have to see about that. Anyways, as this system is moving off, we see the European model shows around the same thing. It shows it just moving off, and overall, around the 12th, Monday the 12th, we do have this very intense ridging in the west and troughing in the east type of look. As you can see here, this type of look is definitely something to keep an eye out for as the time frame moves on. Although you should take this with a lightly, because this is this is really far out. We do see some snow showers around the regions here. We do have some mixed precipitation and snow in Tennessee, and we also do have some snow in areas like Minnesota and Michigan and Wisconsin. Now, as this system moves off, we had this little kind of low pressure system here, bringing some lake effect snow. And as this brings wind across the lakes, this would bring some lake effect snow to areas downwind, areas like Buffalo and areas in Ohio, western Michigan, as well as the Upper Peninsula. And then we have this system forming out here up in the northwest, and we have some mixed precipitation as well as some snowfall, but mostly it's just going to be a rain event for the northwest unless you live in the higher elevations. And then this system breaks off from the northwest and moves down as a little clipper system. Now this is going to bring some snowfall to the Great Lakes. So this would be a pretty good snowfall event, I would say. And then we have this other low pressure system bringing some more lake snow. And then as we continue moving along this Clipper system, this brings some pretty good amount of snow to areas like Minnesota all the way down into Kentucky. Now we would just have to see how this plays out, but obviously this is pretty far out, and this is showing around the 15th, where we do have some very intense troughing in the east and ridging in the west. It's very defined. We have this type look. This allows cold air, so we have this type of look here. When we have this type of look, this allows the cold air to funnel down from the polar regions, and then we have the warm air to funnel up from the, like, I guess you can say, tropical regions like the Gulf of Mexico, the Pacific, and even down all the way from Central America and South America. Now, this system here on the European model, this is pretty far out, so I would take this lightly and nothing like serious as of yet, but we would have some snowfall across all the way from Tennessee to New York with this system as this line moves to the east. And so I would say not necessarily the biggest system or like the most impactful system, but it's still a potential, even though it's not set in stone yet. At the end of the run, we have this type of look. We have this intense ridging in the west and the intense troughing in the east. We see this continuously. We almost never see the cold let up in this mall run. The only time I would say it let up, let's see if I can find it just barely lets up right here. This would be around the 12th or the 11th, and then whenever this big cold blast comes in on the 12th. So this would be something to keep an eye out for. I don't think it really ever, this is really zonal flow. It's not really ridging. It's barely just ridging. I would say these areas would be the most areas impacted by this. So nothing really too much. No real actual warming events other than that one little one we saw. So credit to Pivotal Weather for this. By the way, let's take a look at the winter weather snowfall amounts. Let's take a look at the total snowfall. If we zoom in here, you can see the European model does expect quite a bit of snowfall from Virginia into northern Tennessee here, even all the way down into Arkansas as well. And so, with this snowfall being so widespread, such a widespread event, we do have many winter weather advisories as a consequence of that. Then we have this big event moving down from areas like Alberta and Saskatchewan. This low pressure system moving down even as far west as British Columbia, where it could be moving down from. And as that moves down, and we have another system making its way. You can see this storm track right here, going all the way down from areas like Alberta, Saskatchewan, British Columbia, all the way down into the States, into the Great Lakes. You can just see it continues this storm track, the jet stream. Because of the way it's troughing in the east, it's allowing big storms to come down through these areas. And as you can see, it's relentless. It does not stop. So pretty much from the start of the model run all the way to the end, we have these Alberta Clipper systems moving through. So that's something interesting to keep an eye on. Let's take a look at Weatherwise. Credit to them for this. Let me refresh the page to see if anything new has popped up. So on the winter storm, we do have some icy precipitation in this, I would say in this little band right here, Memphis included. Anywhere north of this would be snowfall. So, and then we also have some pre-storm snowfall going on here in southern Kentucky and northern middle Tennessee here. And also we can see we have this winter weather advisory spanning from all the way to Virginia into Tennessee. And then we have this cold front that just came through that's going to allow the cold air to surge further south. This is probably why originally they expected it to mostly be an ice event for these areas in here. They mostly just expected it to be an ice event, but now pretty much anywhere north of, north of, I would say, this line right here, well, maybe a little bit more like, I'm trying to follow this interstate here because this is actually where the ice line is going to ride along. So this is going to be the ice line pretty much. And then anywhere north of that is going to be snowfall pretty much. Now, this is not guaranteed though. I do want to say that. It's nothing is guaranteed until it actually comes to your area, because just a 1 degree shift could change this entire system. So this is why it's so important to understand that it is not like complete. We could see it shift further south, or we could see it shift further north, and what they were originally expecting an ice event in here, we could see that. But as of now, the track is staying similar to what I'm saying right now, is that it's going to be an ice event for these areas, and anywhere north of that should be a should be a snow event. Particularly for these areas, I would say the ice would probably ride along this line here from Tennessee into off the coast. Anywhere north of that should be a snow event. We can see in these areas, we can see 1 to 2 inches of snow, even up to 3 inches in some rare occasions. So that's really all the interesting stuff that's going on right now on radar. Now, we do have some winter alerts out here, but that's mainly just higher elevation snow, which is nothing unusual. However, this is kind of unusual. We have snow and ice this far south this time of year. That's a little unusual. Moving along to the Weather Prediction Center, they're showing mixed precipitation. Now, for a lot of these areas, it could start off as some rain showers, but very quickly transition. For the areas that are going to see snow, it would very quickly transition into some heavy snow. Accumulating pretty quickly, because this system's going to move quick, but it's going to accumulate a lot while in those areas. So anywhere from 1 to 3 inches, I would say, just a safe estimate. Could be some rare occasions of more, but that's not going to be anything widespread. And then we have this mixed precipitation band moving into the north. Now, I do expect these areas to have just a snow event, as long as you're north of around like this area right here. I do expect that to be just a snow event for you. Maybe in Virginia it would be a little bit higher further north, but I do expect, because we're seeing ice in Memphis right now, so that's why it's going to take kind of a northeasterly track. It shouldn't track northeasterly too hard, but it is having a soft northeast track, which would obviously make for some winter precipitation in Virginia and North Carolina. So, anyways, moving along here to the December 10th through the 14th temperature outlook. We have this trough in the east, ridge in the west type of look here. Now, this would allow, like I said, the tropical air to flow into the west while the Arctic air flows into the east. This is going to be a pretty interesting setup to watch. We'll see just how intense the cold air can penetrate far south, because if it can penetrate pretty far south today, like that far south, the freezing line should be about here today. So if it just shifts further south by maybe just here, we could see major impacts to the storm system today, or if it shifts just north, we could see some major impacts. But as of now, it's looking like the freezing line is going to follow along I-40 here into Virginia there. Now, taking a look at, we should take a look at the precipitation outlook here. Now, the northern U.S., pretty simple here. Northern U.S., wetter than average. Southern U.S., drier than average. This is the 10th through the 14th. And then December 12th through the 18th, we still see this trough in the west, ridge in the east type of look. So generally the same story. Same story with precipitation. The north and the southwest pretty wet, and then the south pretty dry. So that's pretty much just a general pattern outlook for you here. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and also check out EpicPen. Right now they're doing a Black Friday deal, I believe, for $1 a month right now. So for the free version, you can get pen, eraser, highlighter, and then screenshot tool in 16 colors. And then for the $1 a month version, I think it's going to switch back to $2 a month in not too long, but pen, eraser, highlighter, fading ink, highlighted cursor, shapes tools, text tools, whiteboard and blackboard, as well as screenshot tool, 24 colors, easy license management, and great value. So thank you for watching today's video, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.